Peace and blessings, community. This is Rainier Avenue Radio, Centering Voices with Blaze. First and foremost, I want to thank Rainier Avenue Radio for providing me this platform. And I want to thank viewers like you who tune in. And without y'all, we wouldn't have this platform and make it possible. And so please, if you can, right up here, donate, please, the Venmo to Rainier Avenue Radio. For us, with your donations, it allows us to provide this content for us, by us, and through us. Tonight, I want to start off with just simply speaking on being triumphant from tragedy, overcoming adversity. A lot of individuals from our community have built their identities and championed and represented and accomplished greatness founded upon going through adversity or suffering from tragedy. And from that breakdown, they had a breakthrough. You know, I myself, at the age of 17, I was a juvenile tried as an adult and sentenced to 30 years. And it was through that tragedy and me seeking my liberation that ultimately I spent thousands of hours in the law library. And then when I was ultimately able to help myself with my liberation along with the support of community, and now I'm out here as a paralegal advocating and helping others get free more sooner than later from these draconian sentences inside the state of Washington. And so it was from my tragedy that I became triumphant to not only help myself, but help others. My next guest has a similar story. And my next guest is a very special guest, as all my guests are special guests as they're from community. So one thing I want to say, I'm going to let him speak for himself and let him introduce himself. But I do want to say, being that this show is Centering Voices, this brother here is the 2024 Outstanding Voices honoree from the Business Journal and so many other things. So without further ado, I want to introduce my brother, Deaunte Damper.
My brother, what an introduction. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Rainier Avenue Radio, just for opening up the space, man. Your journey is amazing, and Rainier Avenue Radio is a great space for you to continue to guide community members to center their voices. So I'm very happy to be here.
And I appreciate you, brother. And I appreciate all the support and encouragement over these last couple of years since I've been out to be in the position that I am to, have this show. As you know, that's one of the things you do. You do the community organizing and you do so many things that I want you to share, but you all want to be like you when you grow up. You on TV, I'm on YouTube, but you on TV, brother. So with that being said, I want you to share who you are, where you from, and what brings you today to your life's work that you do.
Oh, absolutely. I am Deaunte Damper. I grew up in the South End area of Seattle, and I can tell you there's many things that have brought me to my life's work, but I think it's just growing up in this community, and being able to be myself in Rainier Beach, but being teased because I don't fit the aesthetic of whatever that may look like for our people because I'm queer. And go into spaces like Capitol Hill where there's queerness, but there's not blackness. So I always grew up in the mindset of where I fit. And when you grow up with that mindset, you tend to just be codependent and lean on so many different other spaces for understanding as opposed to leaning on yourself. And I can honestly say that that's what I did. And that took me down to Florida and it took me to prison for 17 months. But taking me out of prison and coming back here, my lived experience actually guided me to do very many things before this work. Because honestly, I started with Rainier Avenue Radio doing comedy. I used to do stand-up comedy. I was when I got out of prison, couldn't get a good job. So I started talking about my life, and people just found it to be funny. And it changed my life. And I was on this great trajectory, but I still was living in that space of where do I fit? And that led me to 2013 being diagnosed with HIV. But that is not a sad story, because that is when I learned how to take care of myself. That's when I had to learn to not be a part of the stigma that has surrounded the word HIV in the Black community. So give or take a couple of years, I left Seattle and came back. Did a lot of community organizing work with Pocan. I even had a stint at DLC. That's a whole different episode of conversation, but a lot of it consisted of me navigating community members towards wellness, utilizing my lived experience and my trials and errors to assist with navigating community members for visibility, wellness, and well-being. And that could be from health disparities to housing. And I never let anybody box me in. That's half of it. But even right now, where I'm at now, I'm working with Voices of Community Activists and Leaders Washington, also known as Vocal WA, a grassroots organization that seeks to bring political power to community members that are impacted by the disparities I just named, such as HIV, homelessness, mass incarceration, and of course the war on drugs that's still impacting our community.
Yeah, and that's what I want to ask you about. You stand on it in the sense of, your identity, who you represent, and like you said, the adversities that you went through, and not just simply looking at them as adversities, but that was the springboard to you being, your best self, right, and really emphasizing wellness. So I would want to ask you, like, where'd you find the impetus, in the courage, in the bravery, right, to stand within yourself, to be yourself, despite being in spaces in which, like you said before, you was not necessarily welcome? Like, where'd you get that, like, that courage to just stand on it?
I got tired of hiding. There is so much within me that I just got tired of hiding, and where I learned how to stand on it. I have a twin brother, and I've been talking about him in my interviews. And my brother always always affirmed me, but always challenged me as well. So I would feel a way about some things, but I always stood up for myself. I've been very many things, but I've never backed down from adversity. So I think that a lot of the things that I went through as a child and kind of trying to fit my trial and errors is really what kind of helped me grow in the spaces of advocating for myself, as well as knowing that advocating for yourself is your responsibility. And to do that, you have to do that in your truth. There's so many folks that I love out here that we do the work, but they're in an illusion with their ego that they don't think that they could be able to be truthful of when they fail, or when things don't work out, or I burnt that bridge. But I can't do that. So if that answers the question.
Nah, that most definitely answers your question. And, I definitely can relate to you, because I got a brother who's 14 months younger than me, but we're like twins. Ever since I've been alive, I've known to have him. And just having that type of peer right there with you, right? You guys feed off the energy of supporting each other, be yourselves. Yeah. And so, that definitely resonates when you got somebody right there, right? Who love you, who look like you, and who definitely affirm you and love you no matter what. So I definitely, that definitely resonates with me. And now it definitely makes sense on how you're able to just, roar out here. Yeah. And that's what I love about, with I inspire, with you inspire me. Like the voice, the center and voices is, you're the epitome of it, right? And it's about people finding their voices, but inspiring, representing, and advocating for others to find their own. And so just tell me about some of the work that you're doing as far as with the organizations that you're in, Vocal Washington, and then, we'll go into what you do at Converge Media, and then what you're doing at Fox.
Well, Voice of Community Activists and Leaders, as I said, we are fighting in the areas of policy change. And as we were talking before we got on the line, this fentanyl crisis, I get tired of people saying, oh, now that it's a white issue, people care. No, us as Black people are impacted by this too. It's been impacting our communities. It just looked like heroin. And when it came to the war on drugs in the early 90s, they're trying to utilize policies right now to attack our folks. And I'm more so disappointed in some of our folks that are actually that are even in recovery, that are looking at folks that have been impacted by the fentanyl crisis and saying, oh, well, what's happening in this community? We need to continue to help them. So a lot of the work that we're trying to do now is at the end of August 31st, we're going to be doing International Overdose Awareness Day. This is a Black conversation because it's going to impact us. There are so many community folks that are walking past our Black brothers and sisters who we went to high school with, who we used to date or whatever, and thinking that we don't need to help them, or we have lost those folks. But we need to rally together and make this a Black conversation, continue to make this a Black conversation, because it's not just the white families that are being impacted. It's us that are incarcerated, and it's us losing ourselves to this horrible epidemic that's been plaguing our community for years.
Yeah, no, it definitely resonates with me. Our community, historically has dealt with a lot of trauma, a lot of physical trauma, death, murder, physical pain and social pain. And we know addiction stems from, trying to mitigate that pain, right? And with the proliferation of these drugs that were, criminalized, historically throughout our country, we criminalized pain mediation, pain mitigation, right?
Yeah.
We criminalize individuals trying to figure out ways to ease that pain going through so much trauma, right? And particularly what happened with Washington, which I'm definitely going to do a special pretty soon about, the war on drugs, on how our simple possession law was ruled unconstitutional, and we got 50 years of individuals who was harmed by those particular policies. And so, that definitely, when you're talking about the advocacy for addiction and us figuring out ways to wrap our arms around community members who struggle, that's definitely something that resonates with me as well.
And it's so important too, because like when we are thinking about some of these policies that are coming out now, it is so much more harmful because at the end of the day, they have a new soda law that they're trying to push out. And these are the areas where our folks are. And the thing that always confuses me about this specific soda law that they got coming out that they're trying to do was, did they have $250 million to house these folks, our community folks? Like, what would it have looked like for you to find the resources for them to be able to be housed? But it's better for the newer folks who are just now coming here. I feel sorry for those folks because they didn't see what it looked like for our community folks as they got advocated for. How Seattle restored. It was an everybody conversation. We prioritized Black and Indigenous folks. We just didn't do a land acknowledgement. We acknowledged the existence, and we tried to make it happen, and we mobilized to make it happen. But they don't get to see that as much. But I hope that as organizing together or having conversations like this, we can continue to amplify those voices. And I'd be remiss not to bring up my brothers, the Bill 206, Brothers United in Leadership Development, an organization, grassroots organization that is here to empower Black men and all community members. One of the things that we have coming up the 31st, the 31st is also the annual kickball event, back to school kickball event. So, I hope you know how to, you was there last year, but this time you're going to play, Blaze.
All right, man. Listen, I ain't want to mess up my Jordans, man. So this time, man, I'm going to come through with my kickball shoes, man. We're going to really do it, man.
Yeah.
I stepped in all that goose poop, man.
We're at Genesee Park this year. So.
Okay. So, yeah, most definitely, man. I'm going to show up to blow up. I'm going to show up to win.
You got to.
So, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing about what's so great about the Brothers United Leadership Development, ain't nothing better than brotherhood. I can be in all these rooms, speak about policies and all of that, but ain't nothing better than these brothers, from Dre to Daryl to Guy to Kendrick to Isaiah. Like, we are all very busy brothers, but we commune, and when we're communing, we're creating community with a lot of the events that we've been putting on, and it really just feels like brothers planning a birthday party for a family member. You know what I mean? It feels like home. So big shout out to my brothers in that space, man.
Yeah, shout out to Bill 206. All the events that I went to is just super welcoming, super family friendly, and it really is the essence of community. And so this is where I want to segue to. you do a lot of the work, but what you do that I'm just starting to do is you always amplify the voices and the work and the community. And so now I want you to discuss, the platform that you use for that at Converge Media with Living in Color. And
Oh,
then also you being the co or the guest host for
yeah.
Back to Basics
Oh,
on Fox. And just tell me about that.
That is a lot. To go forward, we have to go back for a second. 2020 happened. And one of the things that they don't talk about a lot is a lot of those organizers that were organizing during the 2020, the CHOP and all of that, were a lot of queer leaders in our community. And me and Omari Salisbury came up with like, hey, we need to create a platform. We thought about it for a year, and then we finally said it, like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to amplify and center Black LGBTQ folks? And I say that because so many people have that misconception as if the folks in our community, there's no racism there, there's no misogyny there, there is racism in the LGBTQ community as well. But how do we center those voices? So for the past 3 years, I've been working with producing LGBTQ content or content, what have you, for Converge. But We Live in Color is now on its second season. It's actually on right now, but special right here. They got two good brothers on at 8 o'clock.
Come on, you in two places at the same time.
Yeah, but season 2 has been amazing. We've had some amazing guests, and I'm going to start working on doing some specials. But I think the thing about it is home at the Black Media Matter studio. It feels so great to talk and get the stories of organizers like Nikita Oliver, of getting the stories of people like Audra Boo, or even tonight, Darius Thompson, folks that are organizing, and some of the stuff you might not see, but there's so many stories. Like Erica from Fat Chicken and Waffles, she was on there a couple of weeks ago and just talking about how to navigate through Black business. There are so many stories, stories in our Black queer community that need to be amplified. And I'm just so grateful to Omari for seeing something in me, because I did host a show once, actually on Rainier Avenue Radio, but I just didn't think that I could be able to take it from doing a comedy show, comedy setting, to actually doing it and being serious and advocating. Because I could do it behind the scenes, but doing it on camera, honestly, was the best thing that could ever happen. Basa Gordon and I are very close friends, and we're friends before we both were at on Converge. And there's just something, we on the phone 3-4 hours a day, and I knew about her topical steroid withdrawal. We talked about it a lot. And just to know that she said that she couldn't host her show was a big deal for all of us at Converge. So we set it up where, I would be able to be a guest host for a couple of months, and then Trey, and then Takia, and then Curtis, and however long Basa needs. But it's been a great opportunity to be able to create stories, talk about those stories. And really, man, and not bad for our brother from the South End of Seattle, man. It feels good. It felt great. My first night the show came on, my friends wanted to do something. I went to my grandma's house. I'm going to sit right up under my 88-year-old grandma, grab her leg as we sit there and watch it.
Grandma made it.
Nothing better than grandma. Just to sit there.
Grandma made it. Proud of you.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And you sit there, and it was also a humbling experience too. You get to see how hard Basa works. Now, a lot of things what people don't know is that I've actually been producing different segments on the show since the inception, in and out. But being able to produce that and then shoot it and then rewrite the script, and then you have to do topicals over it, and then you got to do Fox that day. It is hard work, but it really pays off. So shout out to everybody at Converge and at Fox. It's been a great experience, man. What can I say?
Oh man, super dope. It's a special experience every time I go into Black Media Matters. And shout out to my guy, rest in peace, Elijah Lewis. I always see his name blasted on that wall when I come up in there. And he's one of the inspirations on why I had this platform today.
Absolutely.
And so go ahead.
No.
No. Go ahead, brother. This is you. Go ahead.
Because you said Elijah, and I think, it was so much of what happened during that time. And shout out to everybody from the Covenant of how we all mobilized together in the midst of our grief. And I'm seeing everybody. Shout out to Miss Janine and everyone that has been a part of that group. Really just started stepping into their purpose more. So, and I think it's also in the name of Elijah, you know, trusting the process, reaching out to folks and making things happen. So, you know, when we talk about centering voices, that is a legacy of someone who's really centered people's voices. So,
absolutely, absolutely. And so, you know, as we round up, I want to make sure that the audience and the people, you know, really get an awareness of the upcoming events that you got going on, the programs that they can participate in. And so, yeah, please share that with us real quick.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I would want to bring up too is there is an event through Vocal Washington, Voices of Community Activists and Leaders. It's for International Overdose Awareness Day. And that is going to be August 29th at Cal Anderson Park. It is partnered with Lavender Rights Project, Cal Anderson Park, Pocan. We will be out there. And we want people to come. If you lost someone to overdose, if you do not want to lose any more people to overdose, or you don't even know how, if you're a person that doesn't even know how to use Narcan, this event is for you. This event is to prioritize and uplift our folks. And we would love to have y'all there. Holistic Coalitions, we would love to have y'all there too. But it's going to be from 3 to 7 on August 30th. I said August 29th, but August 30th. And then the next day is the Bill 206 annual kickball back to school event. Now that's going to be at Genesee Park. We got amazing vendors. And honest to God, it is exactly Bill 206 does what we do. You know, we center community, we center empowering community. And a lot of that, we see a lot of trauma, but what we do over there at Bill 206, we empower joy. We uplift, we put joy into people's hearts. And it's going to be a joyful time. Bring your kids, bring your wives, husbands, what have you. But please come. For more information, please feel free to email me at Deaunte@bill206.com. And of course, Converge Media. Back to Basic is every Saturday at 10:30 Saturday nights on Fox. And also that Sunday at 10 o'clock on Fox. And you can watch my show, We Live in Color, at 8 p.m. on all Converge Media channels. Now you can flip back and forth from watching me and Blaze at the same time. But all in all, if you've heard anything from me today, just know that it's all about uplifting and creating space for folks, and also empowering yourself. You know, I'm not just, these spaces didn't come just because somebody worked hard. No, I messed up a couple of times. I had trials and errors. I needed to be held accountable in spaces. But I'm so grateful for the organizations that I talked about today, because these are people that have been able to wrap their arms around me and love me. So, but yeah, if that didn't wrap up, sorry.
Nah, most definitely. It's yeah. And most definitely, listen, get 2 devices, play his show, play my show, play my show later on YouTube.
Right.
Like, share, subscribe, comment. Right. I think it's important, you know, to get the word out. And, you know, with this inspiring, and, you know, what I love about us is this is just the beginning. You know, we had these platforms, you know, we put these platforms here for our community, you know, for individuals to be able to share the work that we see them do. But rarely do we have opportunities for our community members to sit down and just have a focused discussion, right, on what they do and where they come from, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I created this platform. Is like, everybody see you out here working, everybody see you doing your thing, but everybody don't got the context, right? Or where you come from, where you at, where you going. Ain't nobody know you was doing all that producing and all that. You might get some calls like, hey, man, I need you to produce my show, or I need you to do this, that, and the third, right? And so, you know, the platforms are here, and your platform is here for all of us, first and foremost, our family and friends who know us, to be proud of us, to get a better understanding of what we doing out here, what the grind looks like out here, and then for the community at large, and just to connect all the community with the work and common themes. So before we sign off real quick, please let us know where we can find you, what platforms we can find you, where your socials is at, brother.
Oh yeah, so my socials are Deaunte Damper on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitter. Is that and on LinkedIn. I like LinkedIn. I just started doing that a little bit more. But on LinkedIn, and of course, if you need to email me, feel free to email me at Deaunte Damper, Deaunte at bill206.com.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for coming through. We're gonna do it again too. You already
Let's
know.
do it. Well, y'all heard him. He should be coming back and giving y'all a kickball recap. So
Okay. All right. We're gonna see what's up. We might have to make that happen, most definitely. At least I'm gonna talk about it.
right.
I'm gonna talk about it. And so, yeah, thank you, brother.
I appreciate you.
And so there you have it, community. I'm gonna end like we began, and talking about being triumphant in tragedy. And as you can see, my brother Deaunte, he wouldn't even dare talk about, any adversities as just simply being hard. He talked about the silver lining in the adversity in and of itself and quickly got to it, which is super inspiring. So I encourage anybody who's going through anything, who's struggling with any type of life challenges, that if you do have the needs met to where you can reflect upon it or can sit with it, dig in deep and get the lesson out of it and understand that when you come up out of it, you'll definitely come stronger. Our community is resilient. Our people from our community are resilient people. And, it's super inspiring to hear all our stories and share our stories and share how from the outside we could seem totally different. But when we dig just surface level, we can see how much more we are the same. And so with that being said, again, I wouldn't be able to have this show without Rainier Avenue Radio, and then Rainier Avenue Radio wouldn't be here with viewers and supporters like you. So please donate to the show right up here at Rainier Avenue Radio through Venmo. And as I sign off, this is Rainier Avenue Radio, Center and Voices with yours truly, Blaze. I appreciate everybody who viewed this, and peace and blessings, community. And I'm out.